Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. I'm your host, the Fellow KGB. You can follow me on Twitter at the Fellow KGB. It's Wednesday evening. It's about 4:30. This is typically my day to do my Thursday night preview show, but we don't have a Thursday night football game tonight, so I'm kind of just filling the time slot with a bunch of player news and notes. I got a couple things to show on the Fantasy Football website or the Fantasy Fellowship website. So a couple things that I have on here. I already have my Week 6 start sit charts upgraded here, so you can go ahead and check those out. I'll be updating these throughout the week, but I got to add some other news and notes below each matchup. But I got everything that you need in there for your start sits as you look at that. Also, I have the waiver wire report here. I did a video on that last night, so if you haven't checked that out, I'd go there too. I posted the video on the website here too, but I have all my rankings for the waiver wire this weekend. So if you have any questions in the chat room, you can fire those away too. I'm open to answering questions tonight on how you should maneuver this waiver wire this week. But yeah, Philip Lindsay, man, that was probably the big news of the day today with Melvin Gordon. The report that he got the DUI. He's going to probably be suspended, I would think, for a couple games, maybe 3 games by the NFL. Who knows if the Broncos are going to discipline him as well. I know they haven't ruled him out for this weekend, so we got to kind of see what's going on here. But if Philip Lindsay got dropped in any of your leagues, he's going to be probably a pretty good play the next couple of weeks, and maybe longer if he runs away with the job. It wouldn't surprise me if Melvin Gordon kind of falls away. But anyways, go ahead and check out the waiver wire report. You can ask questions in the chat room if you need any help with that. And then one other thing here, I did update my Week 5 opportunity report, and this is going to be the opportunity report. I'm trying to get more exposure to this, but basically every game, after every game, I'll go back, I'll look at the box scores, I'm going to list the snaps, I'm going to list all the stats, and this is just a document that I use to kind of help see. I mean, we kind of know the studs. Like for the Cardinals here, we know DeAndre Hopkins is going to be the leader among snaps, but I'm looking for Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk snaps, some of these other guys, some of the depth and bench pieces, like receiver Olamide Zaccheaus getting 63 snaps. So if you haven't checked out the opportunity report, I'd highly recommend doing that. But again, fantasyfellowship.com. We got the start sit charts, the waiver wire, and the opportunity report. For now, we're just going to hop over to the Roto World player news, and we're kind of just going to read down some of the news and notes that have happened today so far. So the Titans, Adam Humphries, he's activated off the COVID list. I think he was out for the last week and a half. He spent 12 days. So almost 2 full weeks. So he's going to be back next weekend. I'm going to update my start sit charts with him. He's going to be a wide receiver 3 flex potential going up against Houston Texans. If you had Keenan Allen on Monday Night Football, he left the game in the first quarter with back spasms. But it appears he's going to be fine. So I think Keenan Allen's going to be, well, they're on bye this weekend. So that's kind of just nice to know that, hey, he's going to be okay going into the bye. He's going to be extra healthy coming off the bye. So your Chargers stud receiver is going to be good to go there after the bye. The big news here out of the New England Patriots is Cam Newton's activated off the COVID list. I know the Broncos have been acting like he's going to be ready to go no matter what, so I don't think that's much of a surprise to them. But we got Cam Newton now getting ready to play. I think is this game in New England? I believe it's in New England. So they play the Broncos up next. Broncos are just a hot mess right now. Their defense, I can't really name too many starters. I think A.J. Bouye might be back, but Cam Newton's gonna lift everyone's value. So Julian Edelman will be back into our good graces. James White definitely, maybe even Rex Burkhead, Damiere Byrd, N'Keal Harry. I think he's just going to elevate all these Patriots to potential flex plays. A couple defensive notes here, nothing too crazy. Eric Ebron did not practice with a hand issue today. So if you're relying on Eric Ebron as your tight end 1 streamer, we're going to have to monitor his productivity, I guess, the rest of the week. Juju Smith-Schuster had the day off today. I don't know. It sounds like he's been kind of missing Wednesdays throughout the season, so this isn't too serious. But if he misses tomorrow or he's limited tomorrow, I'll kind of note that. Deontay Johnson is not practicing, so this is kind of weird. This actually opened up. Deontay Johnson's been dinged up, whether it's his back or the concussion a couple weeks ago. He's been in and out of the lineup, which allowed Chase Claypool to blow up. So if you're watching tonight and you got to put your waiver claim in for Chase Claypool, just know that, essentially Chase Claypool is the wide receiver 2 right now. And he might even be like a 1A, 1B situation with Juju Smith-Schuster, because let's just take a look at the snap chart or the snap counts from last weekend's game. So you see Juju logged about 57 snaps here, James Washington 53, and Chase Claypool 52. So almost 70% of the snaps are for Chase Claypool. Deontay couldn't play very much, so he only had 8 snaps in this one. So if Deontay Johnson's out again, you're probably going to see Chase Claypool maybe even hop James Washington in this one and, be somewhere in that 70% range. So if you're going after Chase Claypool tonight, I think you have to be expected to get him in your starting lineup right away as your wide receiver 3 flex. We already covered the Cam Newton report here. Tight end for the Indianapolis Colts, Mo Alley-Cox. I think it's Mo Alley-Cox. That's how I've been hearing it pronounced. But he's not practicing today. That means Trey Burton. I've actually, on the waiver wire report, I do have Trey Burton. If you're hurting at tight end, I know some people are. I got leagues where I'm just running out junk at tight end to see what sticks. Trey Burton is kind of useful in PPR leagues. Keep an eye on him. I think let's take a look at the Colts tight end situation from last weekend. The Colts offense is just kind of a bummer at the moment for fantasy, but we see a three-way committee here. Jack Doyle, 34 snaps. Trey Burton, 25 snaps. Mo Alley-Cox, 21 snaps. But the huge numbers here are the targets. You get 2 targets for Jack Doyle, 6 targets, 5 catches, 33 yards for Trey Burton, and then just 1 lone target for Mo Alley-Cox. So everything's kind of going to Trey Burton. He had 5 targets the weekend before, so that's 5, 6, 11 targets in the last 2 games. So if you're needing help at the tight end position, Phillip Rivers, he can't really do much, as a typical quarterback can do as far as pushing the ball down the field and towards the outside of the boundaries. But he's going to hit the tight ends. He's going to hit the running backs, just like he always has with the short area field stuff. So I think Trey Burton could be a guy to keep an eye on. Again, Mo Alley-Cox. If he does not play, that's going to leave a lot more snaps up for the other 2 tight ends, so I like that. Big news here out of Denver. I guess the other big news out of Denver today was Drew Lock put in a full practice this week or today, and it looks like he's going to go. He's going to be starting against New England. Drew Lock's not going to be usable in a standard 1-quarterback league, but if you are in a superflex league and he's still kind of hanging around, this would be, the last chance you get to really add him. I don't really know what the schedule coming up for the Broncos is. Let's take a look at that. But, they're just coming off the bye, so, you get them the rest of the season, which is nice. So let's take a look at the upcoming games for Drew Lock. He's got New England, Kansas City, Los Angeles. So those are 3 kind of tougher games. They're going to have to probably open it up against Kansas City to keep up. Los Angeles Chargers, that might be kind of a 50-50 game. But after that, they're going to get Atlanta, Las Vegas, Miami, and then they're going to finish up with Buffalo and Los Angeles. So there's some potential start opportunities here for Drew Lock in a 2-quarterback superflex league. So just make sure he's not hanging around your waiver wire. He could be good for 12 to 14 points on a low end. Darius Slayton, I was watching the game at the Dallas Cowboys Giants game last Sunday, and Darius Slayton stood out. I know the Cowboys defensive secondary is not very good, but Darius Slayton looked like he's ready to emerge as like a true wide receiver 1. I was very impressed with him. This is a new injury, though, that I haven't seen. So he's got a foot injury, apparently. He was limited today, so at least it's not a completely missed practice. He was a part of the walkthrough. But, yeah, he's coming off that 8-catch, 129-yard day against the Cowboys. He's got 2 100-yard games this season. So if you have Darius Slayton, monitor this injury here. I think you're going to want to leave him in your lineup every week, at least as a wide receiver 3 flex. And then, of course, the biggest news of the day was the Melvin Gordon DUI news. I guess the coach is undecided if he's going to play against New England this weekend. So I'm still hedging my bets on Phillip Lindsay. You got to imagine Melvin Gordon's probably not going to get a full workload if he would suit up. Phillip Lindsay's fresh and ready to go, so hopefully they kind of phase him back into the offense. If Melvin Gordon is out, you're probably going to want to take a look at Royce Freeman. If you're really desperate for running backs, or if you're in a really deep league and you want to just if Gordon gets slapped with a 2 or 3 game suspension, we know the Broncos don't have a bye anymore. So Lindsay could be the 1A, and maybe Royce gets some of the backup work there. So keep an eye on that situation. We got to see if the suspension is held out for Melvin Gordon. We got Jarvis Landry not practicing with ribs and a hip injury last weekend. So Landry kind of had his best game of the year last week. 4 of 9 targets, 88 yards. That's probably the most yards that he's had all season. But this ribs and this, I know he had the hip pain, but the ribs is new. So we're going to have to monitor his status throughout the week. It's a pretty good matchup going up against Pittsburgh secondary this weekend. Pittsburgh does give up quite a bit of points to the receiving group. So if Jarvis Landry can't go, Odell Beckham is going to be an easy smash play in DFS and some of the other formats that you play in. So monitor Jarvis Landry's report the rest of the week. Of course, Dalvin Cook's not practicing. He's got the groin injury. We're expecting him to be out already. It looks like Dalvin Cook isn't ruling himself out, but pretty much everyone knows they have a bye next weekend. It's best to probably keep Dalvin Cook on the sideline. So Alexander Mattison, he probably should have been a handcuff. That was if you took Dalvin Cook, I would say most people drafted Alexander Mattison as the handcuff there. So just make sure he's not available. You get basically one free start out of Alexander Mattison. He's going to be probably an RB1 this weekend going up against the Atlanta Falcons. So I love the spot there. But again, the bye next week, I really don't know if there's too much value for Mattison going forward. It would take another Dalvin Cook injury, so that's always possible. But it looks like Mattison gets at least one starter's game here. Carl Nassib. We got Christian McCaffrey. So we were really hoping if you have Christian McCaffrey, we were all hoping that he would be activated today off of the IR. It looks like he has not been activated quite yet. He's not practicing today either. So tomorrow, Friday, we're gonna have to monitor those practice reports. If he was going to play this weekend, I would have assumed that he would have got some kind of, limited or some kind of practice reps today. So it's not looking good for McCaffrey. Mike Davis is playing so well. They don't really need to rush him back right now. He's the star player of this team, the face of the franchise, really. So I get the patience here, but maybe next week we get Christian McCaffrey back. So we got Antonio Gibson here. He's limited with a toe injury. I don't know if this is a new injury for him. It sounds like it hasn't popped up before, but he's limited today. Antonio Gibson's going to be owned in pretty much every league at the moment, but I did notice that J.D. McKissic had a lot of work last weekend. So if you're in need of a running back, especially in a PPR league, you're going to see J.D. McKissic 50% snaps to Antonio Gibson's 56%. But McKissic had 8 targets, 6 catches, 46 yards. So that's 10.6 plus 3 yards there. That's a 10.9 game out of a PPR RB2 back. So if Gibson's going to be limited with a foot throughout the rest of practice, I'm probably going to see myself ranking McKissic a little bit higher. He's probably going to get more snaps than 50%. So just something to keep an eye on. We'll see how that goes the rest of the week with Antonio Gibson. This is a new one for me. Laviska Shenault's got a hamstring injury now. So the Jaguars, DJ Chark, he had the ankle injury last weekend. He's doubtful for week 6 already. So to me, it was looking like Keelan Cole, Laviska Shenault, these guys are going to be must starts in our lineup this weekend. But now that I hate soft tissue injuries, especially for my wide receivers. They got to open that up and get that deep speed going. So this is definitely something tomorrow. Hopefully he can get a limited in tomorrow or Friday. But if Laviska can play this weekend and Chark is ruled out, I think I'm going to be recommending Keelan Cole, Laviska Shenault, get those guys in the lineup. But yeah, it sounds like DJ Chark. We haven't gotten to that news blurb yet, but it sounds like DJ Chark is going to be doubtful for this weekend. Baker Mayfield's got a little bit of a rib injury. He practiced today. He's talked about himself being fine with playing through the pain and through a little bit of the rib injury. I think he's just putting, some more padding, in his chest area. So he's going to play through. It's a tough matchup against Pittsburgh. He's really only usable in 2 quarterback superflex leagues. New York Jets. Okay, we got some interesting New York Jets news to get here. If you're watching the Tuesday night football game, we got interrupted with that broadcast. They let us know that Le'Veon Bell is getting cut, which is pretty crazy. So we'll talk about Le'Veon Bell in a little bit. The good news is for the Jets is they are getting healthier at wide receiver. Looks like Denzel Mims he's going to be coming off. Let's see here. Mims was cleared to practice on Wednesday, opening a 21-day window for the Jets to reactivate him. He seems unlikely to play Sunday after being shut down last month, but Mims could return maybe this week or next week. So he's definitely a guy, especially for dynasty leagues. I'm keeping my eye on Denzel Mims. Everything is just trash about the Jets, so I guess it's positive news is good news as the receivers get healthy. It looks like Rashad Perriman's practicing on a limited basis. So we'll see what that happens. But they've already ruled Sam Darnold out, so that means Joe Flacco tonight or this weekend. So hopefully, if Mims comes back, it'll be with the healthy Darnold, the healthy Perriman. The running back's a mess. I really don't know if we're going to be able to recommend starting any Jets going forward besides Jamison Crowder. But I guess from a long-term standpoint, I want to see how Denzel Mims looks as a professional, see if he can be meshing with Sam Darnold, because maybe Denzel Mims is the guy that maybe he's a waiver wire at some point, or maybe next year he's a guy that we're going to be wanting to draft. But I don't know, man. With Le'Veon Bell leaving town, I think just all hope is lost. We're going to see probably Frank Gore just get about 18 carries a game going forward. Maybe they work in LaMichael Perine a little bit. But the whole Jets offense, man, just stay away. If you want to win your fantasy championship, you probably shouldn't have a Jet on there unless it's named Jamison Crowder. So the Jaguars backfield here, they have designated running back Devine Ozigbo to return from the injury reserve. He was kind of slated above James Robinson in the offseason, in August. So this is an interesting thing here to see. We'll see how early he gets back onto the field. I don't know if this is going to ding James Robinson's value. I still like James Robinson as an RB1, slash RB2 this weekend. So we'll see if Zigbo kind of gets on the field and starts to take away some snaps, but I'm not too worried about this right now. Again, Melvin Gordon, DUI. If you own Melvin Gordon, maybe consider picking up Royce Freeman or Frank Gore or someone else for the next couple of weeks and see what happens. Kyle Allen, he has been medically cleared to start week 6. So I in my start sit charts, I went forward and put Kyle Allen in as a QB2 for Washington. I'm trying to remember who they play this weekend. Let's take a look at that real quick. So my week 6 start sit charts here. Just scrolling down till I think they're a noon game. Washington football team. Where are you? Where does Washington play? I thought they had a tough matchup. So the Giants, it's not that tough of a matchup. But Kyle Allen, I have him in as a quarterback 2. Antonio Gibson, low-end RB2. Terry McLaurin, wide receiver 3. And then again, J.D. McKissick as the flex. So I'm kind of interested in that. It's at New York Giants, not a very opposing defense. But maybe Kyle Allen has some low-end quarterback 2 value for some superflex leagues. Here's the DJ Chark news that I was talking about a little bit ago. He limped off in the 4th quarter with the ankle injury. He's not practicing today, which is not a good sign. Chark's he's going to have to log some kind of practice, whether it's limited tomorrow or Friday. But I'm just going to assume that DJ Chark is going to be out of our lineups for now. So if we go ahead and look, thanks, Andrew, for the Giants update. We're just talking Jacksonville Jaguars here right now. I'm trying to see where they are on my list. So let's get down here. So they play the Detroit Lions this weekend. I did have DJ Chark listed as a wide receiver 2. I'm probably going to move him to the bench spot here. That's going to elevate. I'm probably going to switch Keelan Cole up to wide receiver 3. We're going to put Laviska as a flex because Laviska's got the hamstring injury. So I'll monitor Laviska's status. And then that might even make Chris Conley, because the last time DJ Chark missed a game, Chris Conley stepped in and he led the team in wide receiver snaps. He basically runs the same kind of routes in the same position as DJ Chark, albeit not as great as a DJ Chark. But the opportunity is going to be there for Chris Conley, especially if Laviska Shenault is dinged up. But the one guy, I think the receiver that you're going to want to start for the Jaguars is going to be Keelan Cole. He's the healthiest one coming in. So I think Keelan Cole is going to be a must start for me this weekend. If you do have him, try to find a way to get him in. And then since we're looking at the Jaguars, I did note that I have Tyler Eifert down here on the bench and the backup tight end James O'Shaughnessy here as a potential tight end 1. Let's see if I can search here for Tyler Eifert and see what our boy Tyler Eifert did today. Here we go, Jacksonville Jaguars. So the news today, let's see. Any news on Tyler Eifert? So I know Tyler Eifert had a neck injury, which is why I've been listing our guy James O'Shaughnessy here as a potential tight end 1 streamer this weekend. Let's just take a look at the practice reports and see if anything pops up here for the Jaguars that these might be entered in. So Tyler Eifert did not practice today. That's why I've been listing O'Shaughnessy here. It's a neck injury, and Tyler Eifert always seems to have some kind of nagging injuries. So if Tyler Eifert's listed out this weekend and they're dinged up with DJ Chark, they're dinged up with Laviska Shenault here, that you might see this backup tight end here who has actually a good rapport with Gardner Minshew already. But let's go ahead here and pull up the opportunity report from last week and look at the Jaguars numbers in terms of snap counts. So Tyler Eifert, 46% or 46 snaps, good for 61%. He had 7 targets, 3 catches, 16 yards. And then you take James O'Shaughnessy, who even with a healthy Tyler Eifert in this one, he logged 33 snaps himself, 44%, 3 targets, 3 catches, 20 yards. So what? That's 5 PPR points. But if you look at these 2 tight ends combined, I mean, Gardner threw 10 passes to the tight ends, 6 total catches and 36 yards. So that would have been 6 for 36, whatever, 9.6. So if Eifert's ruled out completely, I'm going to be interested in spot starting the backup tight end here. It's a pretty soft matchup going up against Detroit. I got another stat here that I like to use. Let's go to fftoday.com. And again, I'm kind of just doing a news blurb today. If you have any questions on waiver wire, start, sit, you can fire those away in the chat room at the moment. But I wanted to look at fantasy points allowed to the tight end here. Let's see what the Detroit Lions are doing. So the Lions are actually really solid against the tight end so far. There were only 4 games, but they're allowing 7.9 PPR points per game to the tight end. So maybe not the greatest spot here, but again, it's been 2 touchdowns. Not like the fewest yards in the league to tight ends, but they have allowed 2 touchdowns. So maybe we see James O'Shaughnessy get some run here. I'm kind of interested in that. Let's go back to the Roto World News and see if there's anything else we missed. We're going on about 20 minutes here. I think I'll hang around for maybe 5 more minutes or so. We'll just kind of push out any more news, or maybe we'll just look at some of the practice reports today. So I think we're on page 3 here. So yeah, we talked about all these guys here. Let's see one more page. So Buffalo Bills from last night's game, they're just kind of giving us stats here. So I think that's all the news and stuff that we needed to cover today. I'm just going to kind of rifle through all the teams here in practice reports. The Cardinals play on Monday night, so they don't have to put out reports till tomorrow. But here we're looking at Atlanta. Looks like Russell Gage was limited today with a shoulder injury. Julio Jones, no practice today with the hamstring. So you got to think Julio Jones needs to get in some kind of limited practice today for him to play, or tomorrow or Friday. But really concerning spot here. If he doesn't get a practice in this week, I don't think they're going to start him again. Again, the team's 0-5. They really don't have – I mean, they would have to go 10-6 to make the playoffs. Are they going to win 10 out of the next 11 games? I don't know. So Julio Jones is their star player, so it wouldn't surprise me if they're very cautious with him and kind of just make sure he gets back to 100% health before they run him out there. So I'm assuming – Julio Jones is not going to play this weekend, so monitor his reports on Thursday and Friday. Take a look at Baltimore. Baltimore's got a lot of did not practices today, but it looks like it's all offense or defensive here. A couple tackles, offensive guards. No one for fantasy that we need to know about. Again, the Bills played last night, so they don't have to put out reports yet. Carolina Panthers, we didn't get the Christian McCaffrey practice today, but it looks like everybody else for fantasy is fine. Curtis Samuel's got a little bit of a knee issue here, but he got a limited practice, so we'll keep monitoring that. Chicago Bears going up against they play the Carolina Panthers this week. So they had a lot of did not practices, but it looks like they just did some veteran days rest today. The only guy missing practice is Deion Bush. Cincinnati Bengals, anybody missing practice here? Giovanni Bernard was limited. It looks like Auden Tate did not practice with a shoulder injury. AJ Green, limited practice with a hamstring. If you have AJ Green on your team, I think we could probably drop AJ Green, let somebody else deal with the headaches of starting him or not. On the Cleveland Browns practice report, we're looking at just a couple did not practices here too, but no one really interesting for fantasy besides the Jarvis Landry rib note that we covered earlier today. Let's take a look at Dallas. They don't have to put out a report until Monday or till tomorrow because they play on Monday. For Denver, we did talk about Melvin Gordon. Looks like KJ Hamler did not practice with a hamstring. I'm not sure if he's going to go this weekend. So no Hamler. That's probably just going to mean more Jerry Jeudy, more Tim Patrick. On the Detroit Lions side of things, Hunter Bryant, concussion here with the did not practice. They're probably going to be without him this week. And it looks like still no Desmond Trufant. Otherwise, the offense is very healthy. No starters are on offense are really missing. It looks like Frank Ragnow got a limited practice with a groin. So the Lions are pretty healthy on offense, which is good to see. The Packers, Devontae Adams logs his first full practice since week 2. So this is awesome news. He's basically guaranteed to play this weekend. So we should be very excited to get one of the best receivers back into our lineups this weekend. Otherwise, on offense, the Packers are looking pretty healthy. It looks like Tyler Ervin didn't practice with a wrist. I'm not too sure about that. And then it looks like Kevin King missed a practice. So I guess with Kevin King missing practice, that's a good thing for potential Mike Evans and Chris Godwin games coming up on Sunday. But overall, the Packers are relatively healthy here. Houston Texans, it looks like Jordan Akins is limiting in practice with his concussion injury. I'm expecting him to play this weekend. So if you need a tight end one streamer, that could be your guy. Looks like Kiki Cutie did not practice with a non-injury designation. I'm not sure we really trust him for fantasy anyways. Nothing really else going on here for Houston in terms of fantasy. We got a big news blurb in Indianapolis. I was surprised I didn't see it on the Roto World, but rookie wide receiver Michael Pittman Jr. was spotted at practice today. He had that weird leg. I can't remember what the exact word for it was, but I think it was like compartmentalization in his leg. I don't think there was healthy blood flow in there, so he had surgery. like week 2 or 3, but it sounds like he's going to be expected back in a week or two. So keep an eye out for that. But I mean, to be honest, we're really not that interested in going after any of the Colts offensive pieces right now. But again, we talked about Mo Alie-Cox, questionable with the knee. Looks like Trey Burton did not practice with a non-injury, so he's just getting a day off of rest. So if Mo Alie-Cox is not going to play this weekend, I think Trey Burton's probably going to be on my start list in PPR leagues. On Jacksonville side of things, we did talk about this kind of a lot already with DJ Chark not practicing. He's probably already out, listed as doubtful. Probably not going to play this weekend. Tyler Eifert's probably not going to play this weekend. And then you got this Laviska Shenault hamstring injury. So a lot of the pass receiving weapons are dinged up for the Jaguars right now. So again, the guy that I'm kind of pivoting to is, of course, Keelan Cole. I think he's a must start this week. I think you got to consider maybe adding Chris Conley if you need the receiver help. He's going to step into the DJ Chark big receiver role. And then tight end James O'Shaughnessy should be able to fill the void left by Tyler Eifert. Going up against the Lions, that game could go a couple ways. So I think there could be a lot of points in there. We're just kind of skipping through here towards all of the practice reports. Las Vegas is on a bye. Miami Dolphins looks like offense is pretty healthy. Only receiver here was Devontae Parker, who logged the full practice. I don't even know what the injury was. But the Dolphins look pretty good. They're going up against the Jets this weekend, so you're going to want to get your Dolphins in your lineups. Dalvin Cook, we talked about him with the groin injury. He did not practice. He thinks he can play, but I don't really want to especially before the bye, I don't want to risk it. So just make sure Alexander Madison's not hanging around. It looks like the New England Patriots, they did get Cam Newton back today. I don't know if there's any practice reports on him. But I guess for the offensive fantasy pieces here, it looks like Julian Edelman, Wednesday is probably a limited kind of veteran rest day for him. On the Saints side of things, there was some really weird news going on about Michael Thomas. Let me just go to Twitter here and just search in Michael Thomas. Apparently, he's just kind of rubbing the front office the wrong way with kind of how he does things. He's been kind of just not being a good teammate, it sounds like. So Michael Thomas, I did see a couple pieces here. So the news headline by Pro Football Talk is the Saints may be running out of patience with Michael Thomas, and his recent suspension gives them nearly $28 million in leverage over him. So this is a weird developing situation. It kind of feels like Antonio Brown type stuff, but this is all stemming off of the practice. Apparently he threw a punch. I can't remember which player. Apparently it was Malcolm Jenkins, called him Slant Boy, and just a lot of weird stuff coming out of New Orleans right now. So monitor that situation with Michael Thomas. I don't really like anything that's going on right there. It's kind of all negative. But go ahead and just search Michael Thomas, search for Pro Football Talk, find the article there. No practice reports there. New York Giants. Darius Slayton, questionable with the foot. We talked about that at the top of the show. The Jets, we don't want to talk about the Jets. Rashad Perriman, limited with practice. Nothing else for fantasy. Keep it moving, people. Philadelphia Eagles. Look at this injury list. A lot of do not practices, but for fantasy, you got Deshaun Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey, both logging limited practices. So the receiving core is getting healthier. I believe Dallas Goedert is going to be activated off IR next week. I don't know if that means he's going to play week 7, but week 8, week 9, we're probably going to see Dallas Goedert come back into the fold. So the Eagles, they're getting slowly healthier. We don't really trust the Eagles right now for fantasy. But as long as they're getting healthier, I'm going to get a little bit more interested as the season goes on. On the Pittsburgh Steelers side of things, it looks like Deontay Johnson, really the biggest piece here. He's not practicing with the back. Juju Smith-Schuster, I think he's just getting the veteran days rest. And then we did see Eric Ebron did not practice with the hand. So 3 really big pieces here. That's just all making me like Chase Claypool a lot this weekend. So get your bids in for Mr. Claypool. Seattle's on a bye. San Francisco plays Sunday night, so they don't have to report quite yet. But Tampa Bay, this is probably the most exciting game of the weekend. Green Bay and Tampa Bay. Let's take a look at their do not practices. Carlton Davis, this is a big one. He has the abdomen listed here. Did not practice today. We'll see what he does tomorrow and Friday. But you got to expect Carlton Davis would be the first guy to draw Devontae Adams in coverage. So we're already super excited just to get Devontae Adams back. But if the Bucs don't have their top corner, we might see a big smash game from Devontae right away. So that's exciting. And then Mike Evans did not practice today with an ankle injury. I think that's just being cautious. He was hobbled last weekend. So he's probably just going to log a limited practice Thursday or Friday and call it good. But Chris Godwin got the limited practice in today with the hamstring. So hopefully we see him log another limited tomorrow. We don't want any setbacks or anything. And then maybe a full practice by Friday. But it looks like all systems go for Chris Godwin. We really can't evaluate this practice report for the Tennessee Titans that just played last night. And then the last one here is going to be the Washington football team, Kyle Allen. We talked about him a little bit. Full practice today. He's probably going to be the starter. We mentioned Antonio Gibson's got the toe injury, so that kind of makes me like J.D. McKissic as a PPR RB2 or something like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. We're going to just kind of close out all of our tabs. I want to say thank you so much for your time. If you hung out with me to the end, I appreciate it so much. Don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. I don't know, just enjoying, it's week 6, man. We got a lot going on here, a lot of moving pieces. We're kind of on our toes with all this COVID news. So if you're hanging out listening to me talk football, I appreciate it so much. I just want to say thank you for your time. Check out everything that we got to offer on thefantasyfellowship.com. Follow me on Twitter, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow night. I'm going to be doing my start-sit noon, the noon games. I don't know how many noon games there are, but there's maybe 10, 11 games. So we'll have the podcast tomorrow night. But yeah, get your waiver claims in. Hit me up with questions on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you need. And